Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Nevermore Campaign, using the Talisman Adventures rule set as supplied to us by Pegasus Spieler. My name is Guy and I've got some wonderful players here who are ready to carry on, I think, with the adventure. So very quickly, just give us a recap of your character highlights, just the highlights, and let's kick off with Sammy. Sammy, tell us about Ray.
Remus Ray Poten, the Cajun human warrior.
That was brief. That's exactly what we want.
Yeah.
Moving on. Michael, how are you doing and what are you playing?
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm playing Sid, the fool who eats questionable materials that he cooks up because he is also a chef.
And possibly something else. There we go. Mitch and Cai from Canada. Mitch, how are you doing?
Good, how are you? I am playing Iggy Garnland. I'm a very scared wizard.
And next to you, Kai.
Hi, I'm Kai. I'm playing Iris, and I am a little sprite.
There you go. There you go. Last week, our heroes had discovered a strange letter written on the flesh of some poor creature, whilst in the middle of a goblin cave that appeared to be overrun by the dark elves from deep down below the earth. Certain things have happened, and our party has split themselves rather neatly, with Ray and Iggy heading towards the surface, whilst Iris and Sidon have remained below within the caves to construct a letter of diabolical intentions. Or perhaps it is, just a friendly little reminder note. Who knows? Let's find out as we sink down into the fetid cave of goblins that reeks of excrement and the ever bubbly, I guess, perfume of Iris. You are looking at this note.
So I'm looking at the note. The note says, draw attention to Gash's plan. Succeed and I will elevate you in the city. Fail and you need not return. Gash is attempting to induce the dark elves to some act. Look there first. So I wanted to construct a letter back to them to try to get them to reveal themselves or who's the important ones in the city who will be doing this.
Right.
But I'm also slightly concerned because the goblin we killed was a construct, meaning the girl is still under the influence of the actual Bane Lord. And we sent her off to with Sid's companion, but I don't know if she knows this, and I'm worried they're going to infect her. So I'm going to turn to Sid. I'm like, I think we might want to catch up with the others before we construct this letter.
I don't disagree with you there. I mean, if you think the little girl might still have some mischief about her, then I think it'd be best we not leave her alone with anyone. Though, honestly, I mean, it looked like I think Sammy had everything under control the way she picked a little ass up and took her out of here.
Sammy is the player.
Sammy's the player, not the character.
Sorry, you know what I did? I looked
Please don't
straight.
accuse me of child abuse on
I looked straight at the freaking Zoom window name thing there, and I saw that and it's Ray. But then again, she made the mistake as well. She said Sid had a companion. I'd like to tell you that I'm a bachelor and I walk around alone and I don't have a companion.
No,
but
Ray's
Ray
companion.
definitely has a companion.
Yeah,
that's there.
Confusion
yes.
reigns within the goblin cave. Perhaps it is the foul air that permeates. Perhaps
everything smells like poop.
Indeed.
And bubbly perfume.
And bubbly perfume, yes. Ray the Surface, you are once again on that icicle road, which is cold and frigid, but perhaps the embrace of the ice is what you seek at this moment in time?
Pretty much. I'm just going to dig a hole and just lie down and cover myself up.
Well, you just come out of the hole.
And my new character.
You have climbed up onto this road. Again, you realize that there is no one else here. There is that very soft scent of fresh snow, undisturbed by the passage of others, as well as the ever-present looming form of those mountains which hold the breach, which is now but a few hours of walk away.
Narrator sits down behind that rock wall and has himself a little sit.
And a little think. What is he thinking about?
He's flashing back to the City Watch and the people he worked for when he was working for the City Watch. And even though in a not good way, he's He's remembering one of the myriad of reasons he left the City Watch. Not just for Orion, but for what he had become.
Indeed. Iggy, you emerge from the cave as well. And it's not difficult to see where Ray has gone. There are only a few sets of footprints in the snow, and his are the most bold.
I follow them, and Ray, what you see is just Iggy just doing his normal when he wants to talk to you. He like gets in your vision, just on the periphery of your vision, not to be insulting, just stands there very quietly and just waits for like almost permission to speak.
Yeah, Ray's got a bit of the 1,000-yard stare on him.
It wasn't your fault.
It don't matter. I did what I did.
Well, they're going to be using that against us, right? Like these Bane Lords, they make these very complicated situations and illusions, and you would never know.
You're young, and it's sweet, but there's rules. I heard a kid. And that's the end of that sentence.
You have to give yourself some slack, otherwise this and all the other situations the Bane Lords will put us in will eat you up. And I don't want to watch that. I want to make sure you're okay.
I'm not hurting because it's a new situation. The place I've been, I wasn't good. The place I've been, I was wrong more than I was right. I work for the Watch, but I work for other people too.
I think I can understand, but at least the Ray I know is probably one of the best people I know.
Who's the Ray you know?
Who I've seen, who I've worked with, who always shows me behind him when there's arrows flying.
That immediately runs.
Hey, just something to think about. I'll go get the others. And he leaves.
I'll scout ahead with Orion.
And the kid?
Yeah.
The kid looks at you with these deep eyes and stands on the other side of you to Orion and doesn't say very much.
Yeah, Orion just kind of gives that kid a look of there's no words he can use that are going to help. But it's just the longest look of just, I know I'm a monster and I'm sorry.
Iggy, you meet Iris and Sidon coming out of the cave. The goblin who was left is hopping along, carrying a large bundle of things.
I don't want to seem ungrateful or anything, but are you actually going to take all of this stuff, or can I leave it behind?
No, I think we were thinking about taking some of it with us, like all the extra parts. Like we won't leave you with nothing, but we should take what they were using, so we can.
I think the notes will be fine. The notes and
I already
papers.
stuck some of them in my bag.
Well, no, what you just I'll also take a few nicks and knocks so I can fix up my outfit a bit. But yeah, I mean beyond that, I don't think there's anything really we need.
I have a question, Sir Goblin.
Dumps it all.
Oh.
Yeah?
Do you know of a brethren? I mean, this is going to sound really bad. Okay, but I have no other choice. There's another goblin that's quoting a mage. Are you familiar with that? I think it's almost like they're seeing visions.
There's a Goblin Mage?
No. Well, it's goblin like infected by some sort of parasite, maybe. I don't know.
We were originally sent here trying to figure out what was going on with the goblins, weren't we?
No, just we heard some information about it, and I was wondering if it's all connected.
Well, before the drow arrived... we were looking for something.
Care to elaborate?
I don't know what it was exactly. I think it was 5 stars.
What are the 5 stars?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go do a lore check to see if I can piece together what this guy's talking about.
Sure.
10 plus something good.
No dark fate points.
Nope. Thankfully, it was close.
It says hopefully. No dark red
Please, sir.
one.
I would like one, sir.
Just plus, so 17.
There was a legend of something called the Star of the Fifth House. And the Star of the Fifth House was rumored to be an artifact that would allow you to move instantaneously from any one place to any other place by merely using the device. But it has long since lost to legend, and many suspect that it has actually been destroyed or sunk into the sea.
This 5-star thing you speak of,
Yeah.
was the person you used to work for, were they sure that it was here?
Oh, no. We were looking for a map.
You think the map is here?
No, it's not.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know, at least.
I know where it is.
You know where it is?
Yeah. It's in the breach.
Great. Where in the breach?
Oh. No, I don't know that. You see, we found it, and then before we could give it to the person, the Knights of the Breach, they kind of came in here and they took everything.
Including that map.
Yeah.
Do you remember who led them?
The
Do you, remember a name or something like that that might have been coming out?
I, at the time, was pretending to be a barrel of fresh water. I don't particularly recall, but I think it was something like Canute or Cannock? Cantaloupe?
Honoro?
No. What?
Canavok? Oh, Kavanock?
Could be Kavanock. Or maybe
Kavanaugh.
it could be Brian. No, definitely Kavanock.
Brian sounds about right, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
definitely on that.
Kavanaugh. I don't know. It was a Hume name.
I'll sort of gesture to Iggy.
So, is
do you need to
the,
clear your throat?
is the fairy going to send a message using the ravens?
Yes, where do you get these ravens from to send them?
Oh, I climb up into a tree and I pretend to be a tree, and then I catch a raven.
Can you do so for me?
You want
Do we
one
have
now?
the note
Yes,
built?
please. We can build that while he's... I don't know how long it's going to take for him to climb up and catch a raven.
Oh, it doesn't take very long these days. There's ravens everywhere because there's not a lot to eat.
I see. I'm going to go excuse myself while you guys figure this out.
And I go over to Sid.
Sid was with us.
No,
To
no.
me, Ray?
he-
No,
he-
I know. I'm.
He's calling me
Yeah,
over.
Sid's sort of trying to get Iggy's attention and move him a little bit away from the goblin. He says, "You don't remember what Knight Commander Conoro said to us about our mission at the breach, about the strange orders that were being received by Lord Kavanock? Well, if they're doing anything with these goblins and with these maps, then why would they march all the way out here? Why would they suddenly find these goblins the way they were? Possibly even find that little girl and a Bane Lord and turn a blind eye. That seems like it doesn't make much sense to me, if you're asking."
I understand. I think you're right. I just don't know how we're going to get in there without looking, what did the youngsters say? Sus.
Well,
they're-
Well, that's fortunate for you who can walk around places without feeling sus. But as for us, look, I think we've got grounds to maybe ask a few questions, especially if this goblin's made a firm statement of his involvement here.
I think we need to be careful, though. We ask a lot of questions right out in the open, and we're suspicious of this lord. You know, he controls the breach, and we don't have absolute authority.
Yeah, not without evidence anyway, but I get your point. Nonetheless, if this person is involved, if he is, of course, after something, then I think more importantly, we need to find out where that map goes.
Okay. I'll rely on your expertise. You know how to be sneaky in conversations.
No,
maybe Ray knows too.
Well, you know, some people say that I keep a silver spoon in more than just the top drawer. So, yeah.
I don't know what that means, but that sounds very interesting. Maybe we could talk about the nomenclature of your people. Where are you going?
I'm just walking off. Yeah, all right, enjoy staying in the shite hole.
Iris, this note that you're writing, because this conversation has got everybody back onto the surface territory.
So I'm writing that
for everyone. Yeah.
Efforts are underway to draw the attention to Gash's plan. The Dark Elves are cooperating. Things are going according to plan. Who should I speak to in the city when I arrive?
All right.
And I'll pass it on to Iggy. Like, what do you think?
I mean, usually when there's a correspondence, the two individuals know of one another. Usually you would say there is a complication, we need to meet where. Okay, so
I'll rewrite again.
Unless, well, Sid might actually know more. He assassinates people.
Okay, well then, Sid, any ideas with this? I was saying that that we've already, things are going underway well, but we could add in that there is a complication, though, that may make it more difficult.
Aren't you like, is this insulting to say? Yeah, I probably shouldn't say it.
I just knew exactly what you were saying. Like, oh.
No, go ahead and say it.
Well, you're dead. No, you're like kind of dead. Physiologically, you're halfway dead. Why are you cold? Yep.
Because, as you could probably imagine, being dead means I have poor circulation. Any other stupid fucking questions?
Okay. I just thought your nerves were... Okay, no, yeah, it's all good.
He turns and he says, all right, well, look, all we're doing right now is making sure that he's not onto us and that his plans, whatever they might be here, haven't been stopped. To say that there's a complication might end up putting him on alert, maybe sending some guards over here. There are two things that could happen. Either we meet them on the road, or he's aware that something's happened. You know, in any case, I'd probably just say that everything is fine and use that piece that we have as evidence if we need to confront him or justify any actions taken against him. But really, we can't really expect to trip him up because, quite frankly, we've got no bait. We've got no ambush. We've got nothing to set up.
But we were trying to figure out who was currently in league in the city because we know that they're already working in the city.
Oh, aye, but where are you expecting to pick up the Raven once it's been delivered?
Back here. We have a level
goblin. We're going to go to the city, do an investigation, then come back here for some more evidence.
No, we were going to head to the breach, but by that time we go into the breach and do an investigation. They should send a note back to here and we can pick it up. It's not far from the breach from here. We have a little goblin friend who's by themselves that I'm sure would love some protection and some help.
Look, lass, I don't disagree with you. I'm all for the idea of keeping messages going, but you know, if you're asking me as a professional, look, trying to set up something to draw them out of the city ain't necessarily going to be the idea. Best case scenario is he'll probably send a couple of goons out. We'd be better off making sure that he's unaware that we're onto him or that anything's gone wrong.
Oh, question.
How to Guy?
To Guy. How far could my fairy go from me? Because if I sent the fairy and she's tiny to ride along with the raven, and then when the raven's about to reach its destination, she can hop off it. She could see who receives the letter.
I would say it's totally possible, but it's going to cost 3 loyalty points.
All right, sure. So I'll ask Holly to do that so that we might get an idea.
How many loyalty points are you at now?
We have 7, and I've already used 2.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna be pretty low.
So I'll only have 2, but then if I reward her heavily, then I gain loyalty points back.
Yeah, have her meet us in the.
So I'll have her meet us in the breach after she sees who receives the letters.
That's a great idea.
Now you've got an idea on you. That's fantastic. Having a location once we get there, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Love it.
We should probably tell Ray. Where'd he go?
His footprints went off that way. I think he's out scouting with
just in case, because he doesn't seem to have his head in the game right now, I would warn that since the Banelord was not defeated, that girl is still under its spell. I would not leave Orianne or Ray alone with her, because we don't know how they infect people either.
Out of
And I think if Orianne got hurt, that would destroy him.
Out of character, I shredded the psychic connection when I did battle with it, right?
Yep, I don't know that.
Okay, I would say
No, I destroyed that. She's safe.
Oh, all right.
I did like a mind, like I get into the mind and I like get into his mind palace and I move all his books around so he gets really confused.
Right.
Yeah, like that.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Where's Ray?
I'm not gonna go
And
after him.
I'm going to take Holly. I'm like, I need you to do this very important thing for me. I need you to follow the raven and find out who it goes to, but don't put yourself in danger. When you see it starting to land, just stay above it and be safe. And then report back to me in the breach. All right. And I'll give you all the treats you want when you get back.
There is a tinkling of the very softest of little bells and the ringing of glass being vibrated at very high frequencies as she's very excited about this prospect. And then she flits across past the goblin, who kind of watches her with the look of a dog deciding whether it should try and snap at this thing or just ignore it. And then the goblin looks at you.
So I go get a raven now?
Yes, you may go get a raven for me now, please.
He climbs up into the tree, dislodging bits of snow, and he kind of inches out onto the edge of a branch, and then he kind of goes...
I like it. It's going to work.
I'm going to wait.
I'm not surprised everything in this area of the country is dead. I'm gonna go after
this goblin.
After Ray.
You're going after Ray?
I'm going after Ray. Just no.
All right.
Ray, some mysterious ways.
Iggy and Sidon, you have traveled up the road. Ray, you see this first, and I must just find it quickly. As you are making your way up the pathway, you get to a bend in the road, and there's an ancient set of steps that make lead up to an archway, and the archway declares very proudly "The Breach," and it is a little bit old, a little bit broken. I'll move you to the base of it. But from where you're standing, you can see that there is a body lying atop it. So that is what you are seeing.
I will indicate to Orianne to keep the girl away.
Yeah.
And I will go and inspect the body.
All right. The body...
So I want a distraction more than anything else right now.
You switch into detective mode, police mode, I guess, and immediately start going through the process. Can you give me an investigation wits, if you please?
Investigation wits coming up.
Yes, sir.
Luckily, I've got a +0 to this.
Well, that's useful.
Ooh, I got a 6 on my bone daddy die.
Nice. So that gives you a light fate point.
There's no doubles at all. So that's awesome. That would be a total of 13.
Well, even with a 13, this looks like an official courier. from the breach. The tabard that he wears features the symbol of the breach, which is just this black wall with black crenellations on a very, very yellow circle. It looks as if he has died of poisoning, because his tongue is black and sticks out of his mouth. It's swollen to twice its size. Other than that, he has his satchel at his side, which has got the official courier's seal upon it. You know from your training that anyone who opens this satchel who is not another courier, it will be a violation of Citadel law and would be punishable by having your left hand removed. If you don't have a left hand, your right hand will be taken. If you don't have a right hand, your left foot will be taken. If you don't have a left foot, your right foot will be taken. And if you don't have any of that, you get a medal for being a rather skillful thief.
Fair. I will take the satchel and not open it.
Very well. You take the satchel from his body. It hasn't been disturbed at all. The snow is starting to drift down upon it. You suspect this body's been here for maybe 2 or 3 days. No more than that. Iris, you watch as this goblin stands freezing, slowly gathering snow, and suddenly you start to hear the flap of wings, and several ravens start to land on the branches around the goblin, cocking their heads from one side to the other, their beady black eyes trying to assess whether this green shivering thing is actually foliage on a tree or whether it's just a goblin trying to catch ravens. And there's that gentle sort of sideways hop as they just jump a little bit closer to the goblin. There's the caw as they look and watch and watch. He doesn't move. And eventually one of them lands just on the branch in front of him. And in a flurry of activity, he suddenly leaps forward and grabs this one raven that shrieks in blind panic and terror, causing the rest of the murder to break up and disappear in all different directions, trying to act as innocent as humanly possible. Leaving the one poor victim behind in the goblin's little clutches, he drops down from the tree and comes over to you.
Here you go.
All right, so this is a wild raven. Perfect. How does it know to go where it goes?
How does a raven know where to go? I don't know.
Well, how did you send the letters before? You just attached it and hope it show up wherever it was supposed to go?
We give the raven the letter, and then the response comes back.
Did they cast anything on the raven so it knows where to go?
I don't know. I'm only 5.
Days?
No,
Okay.
I'm not that young.
Did you ever see what they did with the raven? Did they just stick the letter on and like, phew?
They let it on and then ran.
Why do I feel like this is going to fail miserably?
Well, the raven's very angry right now.
Yes, I'm sure it is. All right. New problem.
What?
All right, so I'm going to touch. The paper it's written on, this message.
Yeah.
Can I do an Arcana check or have Iggy look at it to see if there is some type of spell cast on it so that when it was attached to the raven, it would have told it where to go?
Well, it was that red paper that you deduced had been made out of the flesh of some creature.
Yeah, I'm going to take that to Iggy because I have a feeling that this might be how they know where to go. Through some type of spell. So head to you and like, Iggy, I need you to look at something because I don't think this bird's going to get where we need it to
That
go.
bird looks real mad.
Oh, it's...
The goblin is sort of struggling to hold this thing.
I grab the bird and hold it firmly.
All right.
So I'll do an Arcana check.
Sure.
See if there's anything to this. I got a light fate
Nice.
and a total of 12, 14 plus 7 plus 9. Excuse me.
And those are the same numbers too, so it's a great success.
Plus 9.
All right.
So 21.
You suspect
Me too.
that this substance, the the more you look at it, the more you realize, hang on a moment. Hang on a moment. This material, there is a strong sense of magic about it. And if you were a very powerful spellcaster, you wouldn't necessarily rely on the flight patterns of some deranged carrion bird. You would probably just have the letter send itself to you. So you suspect that whatever's written on this parchment is forming on some parchment somewhere on a desk of whoever cast and created this parchment in the first place. The raven is possibly just something to keep the goblins entertained with, or to act as a diversion, one might say.
Okay. I like to do two things.
This letter is complete, right?
Okay. First thing I'd like to do is imprint like a little bit of it. I don't know if this works in this system, but I'm going to try to imprint a psychic residue that's very faint, but something I would be easily able to pick up.
Okay.
And see if like, it may not be like perfect tracking, but some sort of tracking beacon if I can. That maybe if I got close to the letter or something like that, or something of its ilk, I might be able to identify it.
Give me a psychic check. I like that.
Is it offensive or defensive or neither?
It is neither.
Okay.
It's
Then
imprintive.
I'll just do the thing. Shh. Yeah. Poop.
I'm gonna do a light fate that I just got.
All right.
That didn't help me
campaign because
at
it's going to go
all.
real bad for me.
Iggy, I'm trying to act like my character. Right? So I got a 14, so I didn't do very well.
14 standard success.
Great success.
14 great success. All right.
Two ones.
You think you've imprinted... Oh, boy. You think you've imprinted on this letter.
Okay. And then I will catalyze it and attach to the raven. If it's
right.
just distraction, I'll just catalyze it and send it through the
Sure.
through the ether, as it were,
As best you can. Yeah.
as best I can.
Is there any point of having Holly go with it then?
I don't. Do I know the nature of its travel? Is it just like straight teleport?
You get this vague impression of movement,
Okay.
but nothing else. It's gone.
Okay. All right. So the letter's gone now.
It's still
assuming-
physically there.
Okay. I'll just attach it to the bird and be like, yeah, you could try. Hopefully this works out, and then leave it at that.
All right, so I'll put Holly on it. Like, if the bird looks like it's just doing nothing in a tree, please come back to me.
She nods.
Cool.
You're going to let the raven go?
Yep, so I put Holly on top of the raven. And because I have animal training and controlling, so I'm
Yes.
hoping this will help with this raven getting this letter where it needs to go.
All right.
So I put Holly on the raven, like, whee.
You release the raven up into the air with this letter tied to its leg. And Ray and Sid, you watch this raven sort of struggling to gain altitude with this letter attached to his leg. And the goblin looks at the two of you.
Okay, I'm gonna go back in the cave now. Or am I coming with you because of the dark elves?
Are you scared of the dark elves?
Yes.
All right, then you can come with us.
Yay, okay, can we run really quickly now?
He says, and he starts running up the path towards where Ray and Sidon had gone.
Why do you want to run?
Yes, yay!
He says as he's running up the pathway.
I trust him.
I start running too.
Sid, as you're watching this raven fly up into the air, all of the other ravens suddenly appear through the air, flying at speed towards this single bird. And it's impressive how they cause that thing to be mauled and ripped to shreds in the air until there's just bits of offal and feathers floating down to where it used to be. They are ripping into the letter, they're ripping into the bird, they are just, it's a feeding frenzy.
Well, I sure as hell hope that she didn't send that fairy after it.
Yeah. A few moments later, Holly appears, flushed and She has a look on her face as if she has seen something that she should not have seen. Ever.
I just
like
take her and
Tinkerbell after a
console
war.
her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tuck her into my cloak and everything. I'm so sorry.
She's just going to
love
stay
her.
there for a while.
I just love her.
Meanwhile,
Do I catch up with Ray and the body yet?
oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's 2 out of the 2 parties who have traumatized a small thing. Good to know. Just keep a tally.
Just keeping a tally.
And it wasn't, and it
Iggy
isn't
said you're
the
up.
cannibal ghoul.
It wasn't the cannibal yet.
So, what you found there, Ray?
Body.
Yeah. Right. Ugh. Gross. Looks like a courier from the looks of him. Like,
Yeah, they had a satchel on them.
Did he know? Well, you gonna take a peek or what?
No. They cut off your hand. They find out you took open a satchel.
Well, that's only
Or your
if,
feet.
you
Or if they
Look,
get
that's only
everything,
if
then
a,
they give you a medal.
know. Look, that's only if a non-courier opens the bag.
Yeah.
Oi, Ted, sit up, you bastard. And I'm gonna.
You raise
Jesus, right.
the courier.
Yep.
This feels like a technicality.
Look, best kind of right to be is technically right.
I don't know if I agree with you.
Strongly disagree on that.
The corpse of
So,
the courier stands staring.
So I'm gonna say, we're right. Well, you know, I mean, strictly speaking, is all it is his bag. I'll instruct the zombie to let's see what's in there, shall we?
I was just
He looked
kinda
like he was in a
figuring
bit of a
we would
hurry.
Maybe deliver this, and that could gain us some favor with the local lord, in case it belonged to them.
Well, right now we think that maybe the local lord might be working for the bad guy. So I mean, taking
Yeah.
a quick peek to make sure that his letters of deliverance aren't filled with quite awful, nasty things. Probably in our best interest too, you know.
Whatever you say.
I'm gonna look at the body while they're doing this.
Well, that's the one standing up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just as long as he's not staring at me creepily. I'm
It's
gonna.
just staring blankly
Ah!
ahead.
My bad. Thwop. Gonna pull out its eyes.
Ah!
What?
Stop doing that! No!
Right, he's got a problem with it staring at him. He can't stare at him. He's got no eyes.
Listen, I just don't put the eyes away. I actually might be important for the poisoning.
Look
Oh
at
my
the
gosh.
eyes. Are they like blood red?
Investigate.
The eyes are yeah. Yeah. Give me an investigate check now that you.
If they weren't, they are now.
Oh, actually, I want to check if they're jaundiced as well. If they're bright yellow, then they're no good for eating.
2-day-old frozen corpse. I'm guessing those eyes are rock hard.
Yeah.
An ice cube.
I didn't do great. I only got 16.
Well, even on a 16, you see the same signs that Ray had seen. It looks as if he's been poisoned. This thick black tongue sticking out of his mouth. It's not characteristic of how people die in the snow. It doesn't look as if he died of exposure. It doesn't look as if he had frostbite anywhere. Just this poison.
Hey, Sid, you like to stab people. Do you know what this poison is?
And I point at the tongue.
I'll pull out the tongue. Do I recognize the symptoms of the poison?
Well, it's difficult to tell the actual poison itself, especially since the corpse is frozen, and it's difficult to tell the actual effects. However, what you can deduce is that this poison was eaten by the courier. It was ingested through the mouth. So it wasn't as if it was an arrow or a blade that had caused this. He had consumed it. He doesn't seem to show any signs of physical violence or trauma anywhere about his remaining corpse. So it would appear as if it was voluntary. So that would imply that the poison has no taste. Well, possibly. Or he could have voluntarily drunk poison, in which case then it may very well have had taste. But it also looks as if he has come from the breach. It's obviously fairly slow acting, because even if he ingested this as he left the breach, it's still a 3-hour walk from there to here. So it's a slow acting poison.
I'm going to remove his stomach. With my knives.
You start hacking into this frigid flesh.
Doesn't this do damage to your follower?
He's got no hit points.
He has loyalty points. I feel that this is draining loyalty points from the skeleton, though. I think mutilating the corpse, it will collapse eventually.
I don't know. Why are we doing this?
Well, clearly this is a type of ingestion poison, meaning whatever he got poisoned with might still be in his stomach. There we go.
He ate it? Maybe there's like something nearby instead of opening him up.
Well, you can go and look around all the bushes and twigs you want. I'm going to go straight to the source, all right?
I don't think he would have eaten something off the side of the road. I think he would have had it if he was going to eat something in his pack or ate it before he left.
Could be a muffin. I mean, those muffins are devious things.
You pull out this grey wet bag, which slops around from his chest,
leaves.
his abdomen, and
Really walked off with Orion and the kid
Yeah, I follow.
walk this way.
because he can't imagine why they didn't just check his bag.
Yeah,
you all
that's
just
what I was thinking.
No. Go
Because someone
ahead
had
and
to go
verify
and
it like
investigate
you're not
poison
doing
before I
something
got a
insane.
chance to look at the bag. Right? Because we can't finish one clue without searching for another. That's why.
Well,
You justify it however you want.
I'm going to cut open the stomach.
It's a standing
open it up.
autopsy. It's okay.
What's inside? Yeah.
All right. You cut open the stomach, and brown fluid spills out onto the ground, along with several rather moldy-looking peas and carrots, as is obligatory in these kinds of situations. There is also it looks like a half-digested biscuit, a hard biscuit, which seems to have, on the edges where saliva has touched it, it definitely appears to have black around the edges of the biscuit itself.
I'll carefully exhume the biscuit
Yeah.
from the stomach. Sort of get a bit of water from my canteen and just sort of wash it off and shake it off a bit.
It's a standard biscuit. It has the vague impression on the top, the baker, whoever made it. It looks like it's a piece of wall with the crenellation on top.
Okay. I'll put that, I'm gonna call this poison biscuit, and I think this is the murder weapon, as it were. Poor bugger. If only he learned to chew more. Looked like he only took one bite and then swallowed the rest of the damn thing. Egypt. All right, I'll put it away and then take note of the maker's mark, and I'll keep an eye out for it when we're in the breach.
Sure.
As for the courier, I'm gonna have the courier open the bag.
Right. There is a single dispatch within it. A rather large brown scroll that has the official seal of Lord Kavanagh of the Breach.
Ooh. Who's it addressed to?
It's a scroll. The courier would have known whom to deliver it to directly.
All right. I will get the courier to open it.
Its blind fingers rip open the seal and the scroll opens up. You have a look at it, and it is simply a letter to the High Marshal of the Citadel. We have been requesting aid now for nearly 6 weeks. We are at our end. If aid is not forthcoming within the next month, we fear the breach will fall, and there is nothing that we can do about it. The besiegers are everywhere, and we are unable to make any progress in thwarting their attempts to starve us out. Please, please, please send aid. And it's signed Lord Kavanagh.
Interesting.
I don't see
Well-
a siege.
Well, there has to be. I mean, look around you. There's no life here. There's no food here. Even the birds don't have anything to eat. Whatever's here, there's definitely a lacking in food. Except ravens, of course. But, you know, one thing we have seen throughout this entire land is the drow moving along the surfaces. Maybe their actions are, I don't know, scaring away the game and trying to pin people down. I mean, they seemed pretty, you know, gung-ho and all that. Look, whatever it is, I can't turn a blind eye to this, and I very rarely say this sort of thing, but we got to help the people of the city. Because starving is no way for a right person to go, and I'll be damned if I'm going to be right here and let that happen. But there's lots of ways that, you know, waste can become bounty if you know what you're doing. So let's make our way to the breach, see if what we can do, along with investigating a bit more. As for this... Right, listen, you slimy bugger. And I'm going to talk to the corpse. Can I get the corpse to go to Citadel with the message?
You can, but you suspect it will be hacked to death and destroyed by almost any passing farmer or wagoner who is on the main roads. It is not a common sight for the undead to be seen wandering around. And
okay,
since he
I'm going
has
to...
no eyes and a large hole where his stomach was, it would be difficult for him to pass off as anything other than a corpse.
Sid.
Okay. Yes.
I have a question for you. If Kavanagh was supposedly besieged by all his problems, why is he sending his knights and soldiers to the goblins and the drow without any problems at all? Why doesn't he use them to protect the city, feed the city, take care of the city? Why is he sending them here to do other things?
Well, we don't know exactly when he sent the knights. That's the other thing. Because the knights clearly arrived before the drow did, as the goblins said. So it could be that he sent them and then they returned back to the breach long before the siege began. So that still kind of checks out. But as for this bloke, Iggy, do you have any paper or something?
Are you still cutting him open?
No, he's fine. I've put his shirt down.
Yeah, I mean, I have like literally, well, I got my good paper, and then I got my really good paper, and then I got my...
Look, I just need to write something on this.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And I give him my shit paper.
Right. I'll write, "Hi, my name is Ted. I have an important message for the Citadel. Please don't kill me." And then on the back, I'm going to write, "Hi, my name is Ted. If you've killed me, please deliver this letter to the Citadel." And then I'm going to put it on both sides of Ted. And then string the courier thing and make sure the courier mark is like on his head. And I'm going to put his eyes back in.
No, Sid. We can't rely on a dead courier or whoever comes upon him to actually relay this message.
Wordlessly walk over, take the bag, start heading
to the Citadel.
Wait, why are you taking the bag for? We need to get that to the Citadel, not breach.
He's just walking.
I'll go with Ray, because I don't think we should be sending this, because I don't trust Lord Kavanagh.
All right, if you don't want to call for aid, I suppose. All right, Ted, listen.
We are the aid.
Run that way, straight towards Citadel. Wave your arms and flail, and the first person you see, charge at him.
Perfect. I guess I gotta
make sure to do a little dance too, like the whole thing.
I make sure that the Ted doesn't have the letter though, right? Ted doesn't have the letters in the courier bag, right?
Yeah, no. Ray has got the.
Okay. I'm gonna look at the goblin. Like, how did you know the raven was going to get ripped apart?
That's what happens every time we send a raven.
All right.
Well, initially, it's early on. It didn't do that, obviously. There was much.
How is that obvious?
Well, yeah, there used to be lots of food around.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the breach and figure out what's going on.
You continue your journey along this icy mountain path, and there is zero sign whatsoever of a siege. It looks as if there are just large fields that have been abandoned. No productivity is on them at all. It's just empty empty farmhouses, empty, just empty. That's the only way I can describe it. And eventually you start to see the breach straddled across the great mountain range. And as you get closer, there is even more sign of abandonment. The little villages that huddle and squat on either side of the citadel's walls and main entrance, completely empty. There isn't even the bone showing dog running around in the background. There is nothing here.
Can I go in one of the houses? Check.
Yeah, the door is hanging on its hinges. You look inside quickly. Absolutely empty.
There looked like there was a sign of a struggle.
On the table, there is signs of a rotting meal. Bread that has mold, it's grown all over it. Something that's gone very, very hairy in a bowl. What was your question, Iris?
Stop muting me. I was asking, is there look like a sign of a struggle? Because I don't think people, if they're starving, would just leave their meals.
It doesn't necessarily look like a sign of a struggle, although here and there there's an upturned cart or there's a barrel or a basket that's been left where it is. It doesn't look like a struggle. It looks more like people were just moving in a hurry.
So like literally something came by and they just grabbed their stuff and ran.
Possibly, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Or they were
I'm going to still...
But then they would have taken
I'm
their
going to
food
still
with
head
them.
for the main gates.
Absolutely. The road is wide and open, allowing the main gate to look at you. You become very aware as you're approaching the main gates. The main gates stand, the wall itself is 100 feet high, 30 meters straight up, carved out of the actual rock itself. This was an old mountain that has literally been carved into a fortress. And on top of this mega wall are two very large, very square towers, and two magnificent ballista sit perched on top of that. And those ballista are following you very slowly as you're coming closer. The ballista are slowly cranking towards a firing solution directly at you as you are approaching. You can see that there are several figures at the top of the wall, and once you get to within 100 feet of the actual main doors, these huge stone doors covered in carvings that tell a tale of battle and strife and victory. A voice shouts down at you through a megaphone. "Halt! In the name of the breach, who are you and what is your purpose here?"
My name is Sidon, and I'm here with several companions. We're here looking for refuge in the breach. We've also come to aid as we have heard there are some troubles around.
There is someone who breaks out into laughter. It's the laughter that borders on the edge of hysteria. When you are so desperate and then you hear someone potentially offering you a solution, except you know they have no idea what they're offering.
I'm going to float up because they're so high up and like, and you just float up.
I'm a chef.
Everyone has stopped paying attention to Sidon as the two ballista are frantically being cranked to raise up in elevation with you as you are rising up. Stop where you are!
I'm just coming so you don't have to keep yelling at me.
Would you prefer they fire at you? Get down.
No, I'm tired of it. I'm just going to flow up where I am. I'm not going to actually approach you. I'm just going to get on the level with you so I can speak to you.
I'm loving this druid privilege right here.
I literally just float up and just look at them like,
just gonna walk to the top who's got his gun drawn on me. It's fine. No, I just want to. That's why we don't have to shout.
Don't want to shout.
Bang.
You get a glimpse of the individuals at the top of the tower. They are a motley crew of mostly humans. It looks as if there might be one or two elves or half-elves in there. They all look emaciated. Their skin is sallow and drawn, their eyes very dark. Most of them are leaning on the walls or on their spears. The one who seems to be in command looks at you If you are what the High Marshal of the Citadel has sent, then we are completely lost. How on earth did you get through the siege?
We saw no signs of a siege on the way here. We literally walked.
For
What
a
siege?
moment he looks at you, then he looks at his companions. Then he looks back at you. If you are a sorceress, you should know you are about to die.
I am a druid, and I am looking to aid you.
Then why do you
question.
lie?
I don't lie. There's literally was nothing on the roads. We found one dead body and a child, and
I
that
can
was it.
see the armies arrayed around you, woman. You cannot lie to me. They are all there. Thousands of them.
Who said...
So whatever your deception might be, this scheme of confusion will not work.
Can I shout out to them?
You can.
We got your bag. I'm a member of the City Watch of the city. I can help.
He looks down.
Courier's dead. Found him frozen on the road on the way here.
He slides down the side of the wall on his side behind the battlement. And from where you are, Iris, you can hear that he is sobbing. And a guard next to him looks at him. He does something, then looks at you. You better get in here. Open the gate, he says.
I just float over to them.
You float over. The sight that greets you on the other side is abysmal. And as the one gate swings open, it literally opens half a foot. And it is enough for you to enter into in single file. Do you all enter?
Yep.
Once you're through, the gate is swung shut. It is not manually operated by people, but you can see there are several large capstans that are busy being rotated by groups of, again, thin, emaciated folk, as this gate then is mechanically shut behind them. The breach itself once was a fine city, a complicated city. Now, you have entered in through the gate known as the Knight's Rest, and the large amount of houses in front of you, all made out of the same grey slate stone that the fortress itself is carved from, and that the mountains surrounding it are made out of. It is a warren of houses stacked upon houses, built as tightly together as possible to maximize the space within the great walls of the fortress. But at the same time, you are just seeing corpses everywhere, just lying where they have fallen, completely abandoned to their fate. Some are covered in several feet of snow, others, it appears, have died just this morning. Where there are survivors, they are ragtag, and every now and again, especially from your vantage point, Iris, you see groups of individuals moving amongst the corpses with sharpened knives, trying to find anything to eat.
I'll ask, who's the leader of the watch right now?
The one who was on the wall who said the gate should open, a young officer by the looks of things, points to the elderly man who was initially talking to you. He is now just crying openly. He's inconsolable. I'm afraid he was, only now he isn't. You should go to Lord Cavernock. You should tell him the news that you bear.
I want you to describe in very great detail what you see when you look out the walls.
He gives a glance out over the Great Wall and beyond, and you can see he shudders slightly. I see row upon row upon row of the black-clad soldiers and their dark campfires that burn incessantly. There are the trebuchets that we destroyed at the beginning of the siege. although they are rebuilding them, and there is nothing we can do to stop that since our knights are all dead. Further back, I can see the command tents from which their unlawful and unlawful orders come from. And beyond that, I can see where they feast upon our dead.
So I'm going to ask him specifically where they start and where they end and have him watch me. And because I'm looking around, there's nothing, there, it looks like no one's been hit by arrows or anything, correct?
Just starved.
So I'm going to ask him, watch me. And I'm going to float down to where he says they are. And I'm going to just start walking through the illusion that they are seeing. Completely unharmed, I'm assuming.
You get hit by 17 arrows.
And a trebuchet, and then they start eating you.
Trebuchet, and then they just start eating my flesh, you know.
You are walking amongst them. As far as you're concerned, you're just walking in great big empty snowfields.
All right, and then I'm going to float back up and come to him and like, could you see me when I was there?
I saw you moving amongst the enemy, yes. Whatever magic you possess that shields you from them is impressive. Perhaps there is still hope.
There's nothing down there. It's no great magic. What you're seeing is an illusion. You guys have been starving yourself. Look around your compatriots. Have any of them been shot? The ones that are down are because they're dying of starvation.
Their arrows cannot reach us here on the walls.
Mm-hmm. There's no one down there. Is there one brave amongst you on the wall who will believe me and walk with me in the fields? One. I don't need someone high commander. I need one peasant to walk with me in the fields.
Give me a persuasion check.
I think I have an ability called Soulwise 2. So.
Ray's gonna be moving
down
among
on
some
the
of the
street
people.
side.
If he can give someone food, he will from his mess
I'm
kit.
going to use a light point.
Actually, as Ray does that, Sid's gonna go with him and sort of say, "Now listen, boyo, I know that you want to help here, but giving food to these people right now in this state won't help anyone. It'll just make whoever you give that food to a target. You wanna, we, there's a time and a place, and don't trust me when I say this. There's no thing I'd rather do in this world right now than feed these people, but we can't do it, silly. We can't make that mistake."
I wasn't asking you.
Well, then you do what you always do. Whatever the feck you want. And I'm going to walk to the castle.
All right, you're heading to the castle. Iggy, what are you doing?
I'm aware that they are of an illusion. So I'm actually not even paying attention to anything of the conversation. And I'm just like thinking real hard about how this is possible.
Okay, give me a lore check.
I'm going to use a light fate.
Wow.
I'm running out of these, but here we go. I got an extraordinary success.
Yes.
Or great success, I should say.
Nice.
And then, so 19.
19. All right. I'll come back to you. Ray, are you going to hand food over to one of these groups of people?
I am. I'm going to separate them. Hand groups of food, or hand food over, not groups of food. I don't have groups of food.
Yes.
And ask them a few questions while I'm doing it.
All right. You pull the 4 over, and they look at you with hungry, hungry eyes. Depression and darkness within those eyes, of course. What do you ask them?
How long this been going on? How long you been starving? How many weeks?
It seems like an age now. I suppose 4 or 5 since the food ran out.
Anyone caring for the children, or are the children gone?
There are some left.
I'm not going to ask what kind of choices you had to make. They were hard.
There is no choice here.
I have a small amount of food I can help with. It won't get much. And I got water. That's why I took you aside. The more you can tell me about what's going on, the more I can help.
back to you on the wall, Iris.
Yep. I'm not sure. I have an ability called Soul Wise, and it allows me when I'm making empathy checks to
Right.
add an extra dice.
Sure.
And then I can see what their strongest goals or heart desires are. And I'm wondering if I can use that to help motivate them for this one person to come with me.
Their strongest goal right now is to get food and for the siege to be over.
Okay. So I rolled a 10. You do get a dark fate point, though.
It makes me
But I rolled a 10 to have one person come with me and walk in the fields of snow.
What are you promising them?
That what they see is an illusion and it's not real. And if this is not real, they can go back to their farms and get food. They can leave and get food. They can go anywhere and have food. They just need to believe that there's nothing there.
All right. The young officer that you have been speaking with, he will come with you.
All right, so I'm going to take his hands and I'm going to walk down because I'm assuming I can't carry him and just float him down.
No.
So I'm going to walk with him
All right.
and we're going to go out the front doors together and go into the fields.
As you clutch his hand, it feels as if you are holding the hand of a corpse. It is just bones and frigidly cold skin, which shiver at your touch. It will take you some time to descend the staircase that drops down 30 meters, which is equivalent of 20 stories of building as you make your way down, 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 down. Iggy, you have been racking your brains. What was your result?
19.
Any type of successes? Just a standard success?
No, great.
Great success. You have been racking your brains, and as far as you're concerned, the type of magic that would be required to infect the entire city, or a significant portion of it, because that would be required in order for this entire illusion to work, as far as you're concerned, is there just isn't any. It just doesn't exist. It would be impossible. If there was magic on this scale, anarchy would rule because every wizard would turn every city unto their whim. This cannot be a magical effect. There must be something else that is inducing these people to have this illusion. And so if it's not magic which is causing every single one of them to see this thing, then it must be something on an individual basis.
I think I figured it out. Okay. I'm going to go to the well.
You wander over to the ice-covered well, yes?
I'm assuming they still have water here.
There is still water, yes.
I'm going to check the shit out of this.
All right, you're going to give me an investigate check. I'll come back to you. Sidon, you arrive at the central courtyard, which looks out over Breacher Castle. And from here, you can see that there is about 100 folk standing, milling around in front of several large tables.
All right, what are they?
It looks as if they're waiting. And they barely pay you any attention at all until someone says, "Look at that one. He looks as if he's been fed." And then everybody looks at you and you hear them saying, "Do you have food? You have food? He has food. Someone, he's got food. Who's got food?" And then they just start swarming around you, trying to get to you. "Give me food, please. Give me food. I have children. I need the food."
I'm going to use my stealth ability to try and disappear into the crowd.
It's not a place like it.
Which I have focus on because I am a serial killer in the city and I'm super good at that.
So you just grab someone, shove them in your place, and disappear.
Yeah, basically. It's like swapsies. This is your problem now.
Yes.
Enjoy.
And I wish I was 30 pounds lighter. All right, so yes, you are going to try and give me a stealth check, if you please.
Can I also burn a light point to get another d6 on that?
Yeah, of course you can. You can spend light points whenever you so choose.
Hells yeah. Oh, okay. So that is a So do I still only end up with three
You
dice?
dropped the lowest, correct.
Okay. So just the one lowest or the two lowest? Because if I spent the light... Yeah, the one... Okay.
So you should be rolling 4 dice.
Yep.
And you dropped the
The
lowest.
lowest was... Okay.
Unless the Kismet was a 1, in which case you should tell me and I will be adding a dark side.
Unfortunately not. It was, however... 29.
29?
Yes. 6, 5.
So that would be 18. You have plus
Plus
11.
5, plus 4 for my agility.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait, where's my math? 18.
Plus 4 is still
5.
22.
Sorry, it was 6. Oh yes, sorry, I have to drop the 5. Yeah. So that was
22.
Yes, 22. Sorry.
You vanish into the crowd as they are distracted by the prospect of food, and you hear someone being beaten and then ripped apart as they turn into a mob desperately trying to find the food. You have managed to make your way to the edge of the crowd when the gates to Breacher Castle open, and 6 knights stride out, looking fairly healthy, although it's difficult to tell because they are covered in plate mail. But they stride out, and behind them are 2 courtiers of some kind who are pushing a rather rickety wooden wagon behind them. And the knight in the front is banging on a gong, saying, "Order! Order! None of that nonsense! Order, if you please! Order! Order!"
None of that tearing a person apart nonsense, you scamps.
Oh, you.
Little rascal.
You rascals,
stop
look at you.
that.
Just, yeah. Was that Harry? Oh, good old Harry.
I'll miss him.
The cart stops and the mob stops and gets very, very quiet. And slowly the guards step aside, and the one courtier steps forward with a plate and starts handing out something to each member in the crowd. Will you go forward and see what it is?
I will. I'm also going to intentionally check to see if they're the hard biscuits I found in the gut of that courier that I found.
All right. Ray, you are dealing with this group of 4. Tell us what you want. We will do it. Anything for food.
What have y'all been eating when you can? You get fed by the castle at all?
There is
That whole scene was like right after I was going to ask this question.
right.
Like, is the castle handing out food in any way? Is there a store that's been handing out? And then, yes, there is now.
One might say it was timed. There is a ration issued by the castle, but it is not enough to sustain a dog, let alone us. But they suffer as much as we do. There is a gong that should be going off any time now, soon calling everyone for receiving of the ration.
All right. Do you see any of the lords or anything like that when they hand out the food?
It is usually the knight commander and his sortie, although we have seen them getting smaller and smaller too. At first, there was a full company of soldiers. Now it's less than a third.
All right. I'm happy to hand this over. Just make sure you take it very, very lightly. When you've been starving, you eat fast, you can actually hurt yourself. But please have the water first. And
we have water. The well is still in operation, thankfully.
Does everyone drink from the well?
It is the only water source, yes.
For the whole town?
Yes. But the mines, the well runs deep. Deeper than the city itself even extends, so why?
Well, there's no way I can convince you of this, but you have not been under siege. There's been a trick been played on your mind.
Oh, you are mistaken. The trick
That's
is
all right.
on your mind, perhaps. There are legions of dark elves out there. Anyone who leaves the castle dies. We have seen that with our own eyes.
I applaud your bravery for soldiering on in these hard times.
He gives you that look of, you will never call me a brave person if you knew what I did.
He gets the same look back from Ray.
All right.
Let's not trade war stories right now, homie.
The gong sounds in the distance. That is them summoning us for the food. But if you have something to share with us, they say, looking at your hands.
Yeah, it's not much. I'll take my mess kit out, and what rations I have, I'll give over. Just do not tell anyone you have this, or they will hurt you for it. All right?
You are not mistaken. This is worth... I could exchange this for a villa close to the castle. You should not part with all of this. You are trapped now with us. You will regret your kindness now.
Never regret kindness for any reason.
Brave words. But when you are the last of us, you will perhaps regret them.
It's all right. If I'm ever the last of us, I'll just find Ellie and head to Montana. I'll take my 2 damage points now.
Thank you.
Worth it.
Iggy, you are investigating this well, incredibly closely whilst poor old Iris is walking down the stairs.
Walking like a peasant.
Stop doing peasants for the past 2 comments.
I really dislike walking.
I early birthday present, or maybe on time, I gave you a Dark Fate.
Look at that.
You're welcome.
2 Dark Fates in one game. I'm getting a bit nervous.
Yeah. Back up to full.
I'm nervous. I'm by the car.
I rolled 19.
The well is definitely heavily used. You are impressed by the architecture of this well. It is not something that you would chuck a coin into. You could chuck an entire wagon and a horse into and you wouldn't notice. It is at least... sorry, I have to switch in fantasy to meters. It is at least 10 meters in diameter. It is a large circular structure. That's a 30-foot radius, 30-foot diameter well. There's a large shingle roof now bedecked in white snow, and multiple lines dropping down with various barrels in it. There's even several winches that hoist up a instead of a bucket that you would use for personal use, that pulls up a large barrel which could easily weigh 300 or 400 pounds in terms of bringing out massive quantities of water. And as you get closer to the well, the temperature drops quite suddenly, and you realize this well is deep. It is a very, very deep well. No one is gathered around at the moment. It's quite abandoned. Having looked at it, it looks as if it's still in daily use. Do you draw some water from the well?
I kind of hold my hood because I realize I'm by myself right now, and that's real bad. And so I go and get some water out of the well, and I'm going to try to alchemy the crap out of it if I can.
Just for background, I was going to have those 4, if one of them could point me at the well, because I was going to have a similar idea to Iggy.
All right. I like that idea. So you will arrive at the well after having given out your day rations just in a little bit, as Iggy is about to have a look at this water. Yeah, you could give me a survival check, Iggy, as you look at this pail, this bucket that is full of very clear water.
I'm actually trained in this because my old I was a nomad.
Look at you. That's right.
Nice.
Okay, great success.
Nice.
Already good. 13. And this is insight or metal. I'm assuming it's insight.
Insight.
Oh boy. 14. I rolled really well on the dice.
That's not bad. 14. This water, has 0 smell to it. But it looks as if, gosh dag nabbit, it looks as if it's slightly thicker. The viscosity of the water seems just slightly, as you look at the pail, you kind of bump the pail and the water is very slow to rise and then even slower to sink back down again. But as you disturb it with a ladle, there are plenty of ladles around the edge of the well for drinking from. It feels like regular water, just slightly thicker.
I'm gonna put it in I have a whole kit, so I'm gonna put little. Is there test tubes in this world? Because I want to put one in a test tube and cork the crap out of it.
You cork the test tube, and you have a sample of water. It's at this point that Ray will arrive. As Ray arrives, Iris, you finally get to the bottom of the stairs.
I'm being as patient as I can.
Yeah, you
very kind, very sweet.
Yes.
Maybe in my head it's just But
the poor
this guy's being
soldier
brave.
has been trundling behind you. He is breathing heavily.
Oh, I've been holding his hand the whole time and guiding him and being very like.
You had to.
I know he's thinking he's walking into a giant field of. And like a whole army.
You suspect that hasn't yet got to his psyche. You suspect he's just exhausted from having zero energy whatsoever. And
I'll probably be letting him lean on me too. Like, okay, he has one arm around and like help him down.
Yes. You take him to the massive gate and he waves at the capstan driver, who then instructs the men to start cranking the wheel. You notice that these capstans would have originally been driven by donkeys, a team of mules at the very least opening up this gate. Now it's being manually pushed by these men who are
probably ate them.
Oh, long ago. Absolutely long ago. The men are now leaning on the capstan to cause it to slowly rotate. As the door opens, you feel his grip on your hand increasing in pressure. He looks at you. I hope this works.
I'll go first. You stay with me. And I'm going to kind of walk backwards and keep his hands on mine.
Yeah.
I'm just going to walk him forward.
He gets a few steps out of the gate and then stops and fixes you with this look. You don't have to make an empathy roll to realize that the look he's giving you is he is trying to imprint into his memory what the face of a healthy, optimistic person looks like before he dies.
Oh no!
And then he steps forward towards where he says the lines are, which is about 150 feet away from the wall itself.
Okay, and I'm going to go with him every step of the way. I'm going to be in front of him too, so that way if something thinks there are arrows or anything shooting, I'm in front of him.
All right. You are in front of him. He gets to the front lines and he says, I don't understand. Why aren't they... And then suddenly he drops to his knees and just starts screaming and clutching his head. And the
moment he does that, I'm going to grab him and start running him back into the gates and see if I can make him live. So I have a feeling, I feel like there's a distance of proximity of this thing.
Give me an athletics check, Brawn, as you grab this man and try and drag him.
Is Nash still with me? My stag?
I suppose.
Better hope not. Because they're going to eat him.
Yeah.
Well, he says that he doesn't go into cities, but he would be waiting outside the gates because he's not allowed in cities.
If I were a soldier on a wall seeing a stag, I'd be like whipping rocks, shooting arrows, whatever.
I'm going to use a light fate point. Or I'm going to use a light fate to try to see if I can get him in.
All right.
Okay, so.
Also, I'll be right back.
Sure.
9. And is this
It's
brawn?
brawn.
Is it agility or
No, it's
brawn?
brawn.
Brawn?
Yeah.
Okay. 6, 8. That's 11.
You try and drag this guy back as fast as you can, but he starts to writhe and shake and convulse. And that 100 feet back to the main gate suddenly becomes 10 miles as far as you're concerned.
Okay.
Dragging him back.
Is there anything other than mentally happening? Like, is his tongue turning black? I'm going to, force his mouth open. I'm going to give this guy CPR if I need to. I want to look for any actual physiological reason for this to be happening.
All right. He is, like I said, he's thrashing around. Give me a heal check.
Oh, I have it too.
Yeah.
What's healing? Is it insight?
Insight, yeah.
10, 12, 15.
15. As you sort of trying to grip him as he's sort of frothing around, his tongue suddenly bursts from his mouth, and it is definitely black. And then suddenly he just stops. And then
he's
relaxes.
probably dead. Damn it. All right. It's poison. Crap.
Meanwhile, back to Sidon.
I'm going to...
Sidon would like to request the GM put an innocent death count on everyone's heads just so he can prove a point about playing ghouls in this game.
Oh dear, dear! Cut to hot shots with the death count going up.
Sure, I'll do that. I'll get that going for you.
Mitch, this is why you're my favorite.
Yeah, here we go.
What I miss?
Someone else died. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
One dead stag? All right.
Sidon, you are making your way. The group is remarkably orderly now that these soldiers are here. And eventually you get to basically the front. And you could actually take whatever is being offered from the guard captain. There is a risk, of course, that he goes, why is someone who is plump and healthy looking as you taking food from these cadavers?
I just only want to get close enough to see it rather than to
with your previous stealth check, you can mingle amongst the crowd without really being noticed whatsoever. They are all being issued that same biscuit, which has the stamp on it of the official seal of the breach. But you notice that the people take it and immediately start nibbling at the edges of the biscuit, not eating the whole thing. And they'll nibble a few little bits and pieces, and then they put it into the pocket or wherever, and then quite rapidly disperse, trying to get away from everybody else as fast as they can.
All right. In this particular chaos, I want to ask a couple questions before I make my decision.
Sure.
The wagon that is there, is it filled with these biscuits?
No. The wagon appears to, at the back there was several boxes of these biscuits laid out in the open. Mm-hmm. Possibly around 400 or so, because as people are disappearing, others are dragging themselves out of wherever they've been hiding to come and get this supply. So you reckon there's hopefully enough for everybody who arrives.
Okay. Second is like getting a close look at the guards and the people who are manning the wagon.
Yes.
They've got enough strength to wear plate, right? Like, so in my mind, they're not like emaciated and like about to blow away in a breeze like these other people are.
The courtiers look pretty bad. They look pretty bad. The guards, you notice the way that they're standing, they're leaning quite heavily on the spears that they hold.
Okay, so they're kind of also suffering at the same...
Yeah, the chainmail definitely hangs loose from around the elbows, the joints that are exposed where the metal of the plate armor doesn't cover.
Okay, and the third thing I want to ask is, as a chef, one of the things that I imagine my character would know is, generally speaking, how much food should be in a place like this for it to be sieged. So... mathematically, does it make sense that they are bone dry for food? Or would there, sort of be a discrepancy that would make me go, well, there has to be food somewhere here. It's just not making it to the people.
I think that's a good question. I also suspect that the best way to answer that would probably be with an evaluate check. So give me a wits evaluate, if you please.
Okay. All right, so wits evaluate. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to burn a light point for it because I can.
Sure.
I got good news for you.
Yeah?
You have a dark fate point.
Can I have more dark fate than you guys have light fate points?
That sounds like reasonable to me.
It sounds totally reasonable to me.
All right. That is... 8,
Same
11.
team.
sorry.
I have literally just done a video on how the GM and the players are not antagonistic forces with one another.
No, I like guy having dark points. 15 total. for that. No, just a standard thing. No great success or anything.
All right. Okay. So, the GM's Dark Fate is determined by multiplying the total number of player characters by 2 and then adding the level of the highest level character. So, my goodness, I can have 13 Dark Fate points? I mean, that's going to make it so tricky. I'm so sorry.
13. Wouldn't it be 3 players times 2, which would be 6 plus 3, which would be 9?
Did you forget Mitch?
There's 4 of us.
Well, there's 4
there's
players.
4 of us. I'm watching 3
I know
screens.
I'm the new guy, but
I
I
was
still
so
count.
confused. It's like, what? How does... I'm so confused.
I like how Michael immediately went to me, nothing else. You forget it? That guy sitting next to you, forget him?
Who's this guy?
Nonetheless, I can have a
Can't
lot
do
more.
math.
So, with your evaluate roll, there are 2 things that could be at play here. A castle on its own should be able to sustain a siege for at least 3 to 5 months on food rations, provided that there is absolutely no supply coming in. However, the breach is designed to defend against one side attack only. The breach prevents those that are in the wastelands from entering into Citadel lands. If something is attacking from the side that the Citadel is, from the side that you came in on, that means the armies have got past the Citadel already, in which case there is no supply coming to the Citadel, to the breach. So if there was bad management happening, most likely they just rely on fresh produce being delivered on a weekly or daily basis from the heartlands, and not necessarily have a huge store of food on hand.
Right. Okay. But I mean, even with discrepancies, like I imagine that if this Citadel,
you don't feel that they should have run out of food this quickly.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
And if Sid knows big evil bastards like Sid knows big evil bastards,
right?
Or the food he's suspecting is probably with the big evil bastard. I'm going to use a so these emaciated couriers, the people. Yeah. How distracted are these 2 individuals?
Distracted with their own thoughts quite heavily. They basically wait for the guard captain to run out of biscuits, and then they hand him another basket of biscuits, and then they wait. And you can see they're just staring at the ground as if all is lost.
Okay. I'm going to try and get into the castle. Just like kind of while they're handing out the biscuits and stuff like that, make my way in unnoticed.
Sure. Through the main gates of the Breacher Castle's outer bailey, you are heading deeper into the castle.
Well, I mean, I don't want to go too deep into the castle, as it were. I want to basically find and make available a potential side entrance that isn't the big honking main gates for when I reconnect with the others from the inside.
So you would be entering in through this main gate here into the inner bailey of Breacher Castle. And then you're going to try and skulk around and see if you can find some kind of other entranceway.
Yeah, whether it be a sewer grate, a sepsis runoff or whatever. See if I can find an entrance and then make it available from the inside.
All right. That's what you're going to try and do. Back we go to Sidon and Ray. You are both standing at the iced well.
Iggy.
Sorry, you see, there's only 3 players now. What have you done?
I broke it!
So Iggy and Ray are standing at the well, which is further down here, just inside the main gates.
We can edit that out, don't worry.
So I turn on my heel, being deep in thought, and I probably literally run into you, Ray, and kind of bounce off you. Go,
You can just catch him and keep him out of the well. There you go. You are jumpy.
Something's really weird about the water. Look at it, and I shake it.
Something in the water.
It
Something like that.
Sort of slops around. It's not as thick as maple syrup, but there's a definite viscosity to the water that's not natural.
Look like starch water?
Yeah, or completely saturated sugar water.
Okay. Does it have a smell?
No smell whatsoever.
No. I wasn't here for all the stuff Iggy did, so he's just kind of doing his own thing.
Yeah, so all I looked around and I moved the water funny. I'm not very good at like identifying water, but you're a survival person. Maybe you know. And I hand him. Like it just looks funny, right?
I figured the thing that was affecting the town was magical since they see and stuff.
No, it's not magical. Like the amount of energy required would pretty much turn this place into flame if someone were to cast that kind of level of spell.
Aren't they all seeing the same hallucination?
They are. I don't know how that works. Perhaps the Banelord is using the ability of the whatever thing is in this, and then just allowing the currents of their normal hallucinatory abilities to augment the town as a whole.
So they've infected the water with some hallucinatory magic that's infecting all and giving a common threat of possession.
It's more like hallucinatory substance, and then using their natural magic to augment the normal hallucinations you'd experience by drinking this.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. Yeah, what do you think?
Shake the water. Do I know anything about water? I mean, I think City Watch is not really my thing. Like, I wouldn't be checking water. I didn't work for the Water Purity Bureau.
Right, yeah, you didn't work for the Aquifer. You were City Watch. It just slightly...
I was an enforcer for the Thieves Guild, for God's sake.
Yeah, you kind of hold it up to the weak sunlight that's permeating through the grey clouds above, and again, it just looks slightly thicker than regular water. There's no smell to it.
Should we test it on the goblin?
I don't think that's ethical. Okay, yeah. I thought Sidon had rubbed off on you. Though his counter is still 0, so there's something to be said about that. Death counter, that is. Anyway, where's the source of this well?
So is mine, the roll.
Yeah, I know. So where's the source of this, you think?
Where's the source of the water?
Yeah, the well has to go somewhere.
Right.
Well, yes, but
it's got to be going deep. Probably a subterranean well, as most are, into the cave system. And since the Dark Elves have a pretty intricate cave system, from what we see, I'd probably bet it has something to do with that giant hole that was magicked over that we saw.
Maybe.
Do I know, like, with a lore check of 20, do I know that just normal success, I don't know if that matters, like where the entrance to like the basin, or like basically the big water, the reservoir, there we go, water would be. There's like easy access to that.
There should be, if they've followed General City Ordinance, there should be nearby a structure that is dedicated to ensuring the water level remains consistent. And most likely that will have a staircase that would go down to the actual water level itself, so that whoever's job it was, they would be called an aquifer, that is their official title, would go down every day and check the level of the well water to ensure that if it has lowered, that the city stops using water whilst the subterranean reservoir chamber would refill from natural groundwater. That should be nearby, and as you cast a glance around, you can actually see that, yes, there is a small circular structure with a little domed stone roof that looks very much like it would be the aquifer's office.
That's the aquifer's office. They check water levels. Maybe we'll find out more information from them.
It does not look as if there's anyone there.
Would I think that this construction of this particular style well, would I find this strange?
No, it's if this is the only well in this mountain fortress, it makes sense. It also makes sense that what they told you was it's a very deep well. This would probably go down hundreds of feet. And when you look at the rope coiled on the drum of each of the buckets, it's probably about 3 foot in diameter. There are literally hundreds of foot of rope on each of these buckets that you
So
could
it's like a
load on.
ship spool of rope size.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it
We should
be...
get the others before we go and investigate.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
would it be logical that the mine would have some sort of easy access? Because that's already going deep. I see there's a mine thing on, or was a mine thing on the side of the town or whatever.
Mines certainly would link into the water courses, and underground rivers connect and break apart. In theory, yes, possibly they would link up with the same water sources. But without a survey team, you could enter into one of the many mines that scatter around this mountain range. You wouldn't know which one links to the reservoir that's feeding this well.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go find the others.
All right. Iris, what are you doing with your corpse?
Well, he just died.
Yes.
So,
Free food.
In the distance, you hear a gong ringing.
yeah. I am going to start pulling him towards the gates. And then when I get near the gate, I'm going to tell the gatekeeper to get my friends. And then
The gatekeeper stares blankly at you. We told you he would die.
You said from the invaders. This
He is dead.
is poison.
It doesn't matter how he died. He died at your hand. You led him out there to die.
I let him out there to show you it's an illusion. How was I
It's
to
an
know that he
illusion
was
that
going to
our
die of
friend
poison?
is dead.
Look at his tongue.
What matters his tongue? He's dead.
But what I'm saying is there's another cause, and it's not an invasion.
You think that we care what the reason is that our friend is dead? He's dead.
But now we know that we can get food in here for you. There's not an invading force.
We know that we can get the food in. He stepped across the threshold of that gate and he died. If you think anyone else is going to follow you, ma'am,
No,
I
I'm not
strongly
saying for
advise
any
you
of you
to
to
leave.
leave. No, I'm saying none of you should leave. There's a proximity. The moment he reached where the front line would have been, he died.
Yes, lads.
There's a
This here woman says we shouldn't leave the Citadel because we're going to die. Thank you for telling us something that we've known for weeks at the cost of our friend.
But you've been saying it's because there's a giant line of invaders. There isn't.
Sorry. Really enjoying this conversation.
There. You know what? He turns, he says, close the gates, and they're not allowed to leave. And he walks off.
Fine, I float up and over.
They really showed them.
I was like, oh no, a door.
Yeah,
All right.
take that, you starving peasants.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take that.
You said I got the one up on
I'll
those
show you.
dying
First I'll
people.
kill your friend, then fuck your jumping over walls rules.
Iggy and Ray, you watch as
I just float and try to find
Iris
my friends.
floats up into the air and then lands near you.
What is she doing?
That's what I say
know.
as she comes down.
No one
So-
shooting at her, so she looked fine.
Yeah. No, there's a bigger problem. The people can't leave the city. So while there's not invaders, they can't leave the city because the moment they reach a certain threshold, they die like the courier.
So, oh, they get poisoned. Yeah, we think it's the water source.
But
Yeah, we
how
think
does the
it's the
poison
water.
act when they leave? What's the catalyst there?
That's a great question, but I don't think we're going to get that information without investigating the water.
Yep. I agree with
I thought
you.
it was the biscuits that was the problem. Where's Sidon?
Oh.
What
He just,
biscuit?
Iggy just put two and two together that like this is a place filled with corpses, and he is gone.
He's like, oh no. Where's Sid? Where's Sid? We have to find Sid.
There is no sign of
Do we
Sid.
know anything about the biscuits?
Yeah,
nothing-
I was
nothing-
with him.
Yeah.
I was with him when it happened.
No, I
For the autopsy, yes, but you don't know that they're being
when
handed
I
out
kind of-
by the people.
No, I have no idea about that, but I'm saying I knew about the biscuits. They
This
saying
time.
it's the water, but I knew that Sid said it was the biscuits.
Correct.
Need water
Yeah.
to make biscuits.
What if it's a 2-point thing? Like one's the hallucinogen and one is the poison.
I don't know.
And he clutched his head like he was hearing something before he died,
Yeah, I
like
understand.
psychically.
I don't know. We just need to investigate something.
We gotta find
Either the
stuff out.
biscuits or the water. because we're not going to be able to assume and figure this out.
Float down the well.
Well, let's get Sid first before he before he gets too full. Yeah, let's go with that.
I just because I really want to, at some point or another, I really wish to set up like a ramen cart in the middle of the street just to freak everyone out.
You will.
Meanwhile,
who's hungry?
Skulking around the inner bailey of Breacher Castle, Sid, you discover that there is indeed a small doorway that leads out of the side of the castle and is possibly used, sometimes it's called the kitchen gate. It's used when supplies need to be brought into the castle that don't need the main gates to be flung open. Unfortunately, it is guarded by two very tired-looking guards who stand on either side of it, and it is a remarkably robust door which you know will have a dogleg inside the wall to prevent masses of troops from invading into the castle through it.
Okay.
Not a good door.
So I would like to very sneakily destroy that dogleg. For now, just because, we're not worrying about an invasion.
It's inside the wall itself. So in other words, what happens is there's one door. You enter into that door. You have to turn left, walk 5 meters, then turn right, and then there's the next door. So they're not directly opposite each other. So if you get a battering ram to knock in the one door, you still have to fight along a narrow corridor to then get to a second door, which is impossible to get a battering ram into, basically.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So that's okay. And there are two tired guards here.
Correct.
I have a disguise kit on my person.
Sure.
Would I be able to potentially create a disguise as the helper dudes from earlier?
You could make yourself look like you were emaciated, but you wouldn't be able to make yourself look like you're wearing an official tabard from the castle. You don't have one.
Okay. I will attempt to find one of these outfits and disguise myself as emaciated. So I'm going to use the emaciation stuff now. But I want to try and find one of these dudes either alone or off to the side, or find a bathroom and do what I do best. Wait for people in dark places and jump them when they least suspect it.
Okay. You are going...
I'm going to get jumped.
Look, you cast spells, okay? Let me do me.
All right, you disappear off into the shadows and start stalking your prey. The three of you, back outside the main castle, there is no sign of Sid anywhere.
Oh my god, what if he's eating like a bunch of them? Like he has a buffet table set up and everybody's just watching as he's going, well, you cut one this way and you cut one that way. Ray, I'm freaking out right now.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm going to go open the door to the aquifer.
It's locked.
I'm going to kick in the door to the aquifer.
You bash in the door. It shatters in. It's dusty. It doesn't look like anyone's been in here for quite some time. Iris?
I'm going to look at them like, look, the people are starving and they can't leave, but we can. Do you think the farms that we pass would still have any food? And if so, I can get Nash and I start bringing it to the gates.
I don't know. Listen, I think whatever goodwill we have is very tenuous. Like, we look like we've eaten a lot, and I think to a person who's starving, that's already kind of very suspicious and also insulting. So
and I just killed someone.
You did what?
Wait, you did what?
So, nothing, Ray. Nothing happened. Everything's fine.
I didn't intend to. I led one of the boys off the wall to show them that there was no soldiers. And when we got within a certain amount of feet away from the castle, he collapsed and died from poison.
I murdered someone to prove a point.
I didn't murder him, okay? I had no hand in that other than walking him out the gates. I wasn't gonna. How was I supposed to know he was gonna collapse and die
you were
of
just
poison?
doing your job, Nuremberg. Go ahead.
You saw the light leave his eyes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Listen. These weird voices are coming out of nowhere that are insulting you. I'm not doing that. I think everything's fine. I mean, that's really scary that happened, and I'm sorry that you had to witness that. But let's see what we can focus up on and investigate here. Let's not bring anyone else outside or talk to...
No, I'm not saying bring them out. I have Nash. He's a giant stag, like a horse. So if we get some supplies on a cart, raid them to the door.
I left Buckles with Nash, my mule.
All right.
Because if they see a horse or a stag or anything like that, they're going to kill it. Even if there's food.
You remember passing through the farmlands that have been covered in snow. And when you did have a look in through the abandoned village, food that had been left there has all been rotting.
But I'm thinking like if there's silos of like grains and corns and things like that, that stuff keeps for a very long time.
It also has to be managed.
But yes, it has to be managed. And also you would need a team of people to load it onto teams of animals to be able to bring in anything in a significant quantity. It would become a feeding operation, effectively. If you had the city helping you, for sure, you could possibly find food. But on your own, it would take you 3 hours to bring in maybe enough food for 100 people.
Well, that's what I was hoping to do with the younger guy, but he's dead, so that didn't work.
I think we need to break
that younger guy sucks. Couldn't even go outside.
I think
Who knew they were so fragile?
Seriously, like weak link.
Well, I don't know what's happening here, but there's a lot of... Maybe I drank the water on accident.
I think what we should do is we should investigate the water problem.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
And then that should probably be able to help if we can figure out the water is the real source and then cure them. Then the town can now go outside. And then the town can start going to the now definitely rotting grain silos. I grew up on a farm. If there's no one tending and aerating that shit, mold immediately. And then it grows.
So they're gonna die anyways. So
real bad.
Yeah,
it goes real bad. It gets hot in the middle and goes real bad real quick.
Yeah, the disembodied voice is definitely logical in this circumstance. I really think that. Are you hearing this? Okay, yeah. What they said, we need to investigate more.
The Aquifer's office, the initial chamber anyway, would basically be where someone went to report bad water or buy a jug or I visited the Aquifer office tabard. But other than that, it seems fairly unremarkable, just covered in heavy dust. There is a door leading to a back room, and then there is a very large circular set of spiral stone steps, which has a very neat little pole and rope around the edge of it. And it has a sign which says, "Here there be Aquifer access." And then underneath it says, "Guided tours, 1 silver piece." And then underneath that, "No admittance without an official member of the Aquifer department."
Can I check the back office?
You push the door open to the back office, and there is an individual whom at one point must have been the administrator or the Aquifer himself. But he died quite some time ago, and it looks as the cause of death was a spear through the head, which has impaled him to the back wall.
I will remove said spear.
The corpse... It doesn't clatter because it's basically frozen, desiccated flesh. It just folds down onto the floor itself. The spear is of a rather unusual design. Instead of it being a wooden shaft with a standard spear head, the spear head is barbed, and so pulling it out of whatever it was in would have normally been difficult, but you're pulling it out of a parchment paper-like skull, and the shaft itself appears to have been made out of some kind of black material, which could be wood, but you can't see any grain in it. It's quite hard, though.
So it's shaped kind of like a boar spear?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly like a boar spear.
It sounds better when Guy says it.
That is what you find at the back.
That was just the American accent versus the South African accent.
There you go. Iggy, Iris?
I noticed the door is bashed in.
Yes. Well, Ray's inside. You can hear him muttering and mumbling and that sort of thing.
What did you find?
Go do is hold on. Clatter. Found a spear.
Well, that looks like... that looks like the arrows.
right?
Yes.
That were shot. Yeah, that's Dark Elf.
Oh, there
design.
we go.
So,
Starting to think the Dark Elves as a people might be evil. I don't want to seem like speciest, but just follow the logic a little.
Yeah, but the Bane Lords also might be in charge of that. We don't know.
yeah,
That is a fair point, and I will understand my privilege from now on.
we should get Sid. Like, seriously, though, I'm really getting scared here. We should get Sid and then come back
Why?
here and go down.
Um,
Because he's part of the team.
No, I understand that, but like he's probably doing recon like we are.
Yeah, but if we go, maybe we'll run into more Dark Elves down there.
You're worried he's eating people, aren't you?
Yeah.
I don't think
Did you
four
see
of
the
us.
people here? He wouldn't even turn his nose up at them. He would just walk on by. They're all emaciated. There's no meat there. He's a chef.
Yeah, but he also pickles eyeballs and other things that don't lose weight. But if this plan is a lot bigger, I think, than the four of us, and if we die, no one knows what's happening here. I would send a message back to the city. I would send a message with Holly.
She doesn't have any more loyalty points because we used them all.
I have 2 more poor loyalty points.
Then she will leave you and never talk to
Yeah, she's just gonna go bye.
you. We're done here.
Okay, would you have a better plan?
I gotta make one. I'm still really looking at this water problem.
Sid, you
We
have
should
been
definitely get Sid though.
skulking in the shadows outside of the kitchens, which is where you assume there would be some kind of foot traffic. And after patiently waiting, eventually a rather doddery individual steps out. It looks as if this woman must have been quite rotund at one stage, but now is just very, very, very old because the skin has just sagged as there is no meat keeping the frame up anymore. She comes out and you see her looking around, and then from under an apron she pulls out what is definitely not one of the biscuits, but she pulls out a rather wrinkled apple, which she then quietly starts to eat.
I will very quietly approach the woman,
Yes.
and I will approach her from behind with a very large and very, very glisteningly sharp and beautifully tended knife.
Yes.
And I will put it to her throat and whisper, "Now, love, sneaking little side pieces, are we? Aren't you the naughty thing?"
I just found it, I promise.
I'll reach into my backpack and I'll pull a fresh apple out and hold it in front of her face. Wouldn't it be a shame if that were the last thing you were to eat? And I sort of run it past her face.
I will do whatever you want.
Oh no, I'm sure you will, lass. I'm sure you will. Why don't we go have a talk? And I'll pull it to the side. I will try to convince this woman to return with some clothes, the working clothes, in exchange for the apple, as well as some information on who works the kitchen and where the biscuits come from.
Well, you don't want to take advantage of me?
Oh my God, no. This sorry, that was very rude of me. No, lass, your beauty is too radiant for even one of me to defile. You are just fucking take the apple. Listen, just wear.
Just don't sleep with the zombie.
Okay, I just want some clothes and the information that I'm after. You can keep your womanly.
I can bring you
sensibilities
blankets if you would prefer. Those will be warmer than the old tablet from the castle.
I saw people wearing them in the hall, and I thought, you know what, Sid, you must get one of those. I've got me heart set on it.
Are you going to try and assassinate the Lord?
Well, believe it or not, if you're asking on the right day, but today is not that day, sadly. I'm a little bit more concerned about the food shortage, as it were. But after that, we'll see where the winds take us. For now, however, I need these to get around. You gonna help me? Or, and I sort of put it near my mouth as if I'm gonna take a big bite.
I'll help you. I'll help you. Just wait here. I know where there's plenty of tablets. As for who is the chef, I am the last of the cooks in the castle. I make the biscuits. Why do you ask?
Oh, well then, lass, you and I have a lot to talk about. But first, those clothes. Then we'll discuss.
She rushes back inside the kitchens, and after a few moments she comes back out again. She has a pile of tunics. I didn't know what size you were, so I just brought you everything that there's so many of them since there's so little of us now.
You're too kind. I'll take the clothes and I'll ask her to show me to the kitchen.
You promised me the apple for the tabards.
Oh, of course, but come now, as a chef yourself, you want to eat this raw? I was going to fix you up something lovely, dear, while we talked.
Oh, what a sweet sentiment. There is nothing with which to enhance the flavoring of that food right now. As it is, it will be the most exquisite meal I have ever had.
I'll show her my chef's kit, which has sundry
Oh my.
cooking tools.
It impresses her. They will know, though. They will smell if we are making anything special. We should just eat it here.
Well, fire ain't the only way to cook, love. You should know that. I'm sure you've brought plenty of heat to your kitchen. I'll sort of playfully jab at her and then... Yes.
Well, you better come with me, then. She leads you into the kitchen. You can see that there's a scant stove with a little bit of wood burning in the hearth. There are trays of these biscuits lying out on the tables within the kitchen itself. They're rather unremarkable, I'm afraid. They're made out of coarse grain, the last of the stores that we have. Then mixed together with a little water and some of the starches that we have, and this is it. Why do you ask? You're muted right now, young man. I know you're speechless.
Yes, no, absolutely. While I'm sort of preparing what is effectively a raw mix of it's like an apple turnover, but with like just some raw butters and breadcrumbs and stuff like that.
Okay.
As I'm doing this, I will ask her that are you sure there's nothing else in it, and then show her the biscuit with the blackened texture to it.
Oh,
because as far as I can tell,
wouldn't eat that one.
Oh no, but as far as I can tell, someone's using your biscuits to poison the townsfolk here.
Nonsense. I eat these biscuits myself. I was about to finish preparing them. You can you can look at them yourself. She then turns and she goes to the trays of biscuits. All I have left is to wipe them down with a little butter to make them a bit better, and then they get taken by the Knights Captain in the morning. She lifts up a wicker basket and very gently opens the lid, and you can see inside the basket there is this writhing mass of little white worms. And we'll continue next week. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys for playing. And yes, leave your comments down below in terms of what you think is going on, because there's lots of investigating. There's lots of theories. Are any of them right? Well, we'll see what happens. Guys, thank you so much for playing. I thoroughly enjoyed having the party go about its business. I hope that you guys are finding it engaging in some way.
It's so sad he died.
I really like the
sad
cat
died, right?
He was so brave.
Hilarious how he died.
I think it was.
I was like CPR. Don't you die on me, damn it.
I'm just tickled over the fact that I mean, not over the fact, but the comparatively, guy dies. I'm having lunch with this lovely chef, and enjoying a small apple turnover. to the first person who has trusted my cooking since we've started.
Yeah. And then she opens a basket of worms.
And then she's opened a basket of worms.
So we
There
know
it
it's the
is.
Lost Boys then. That's
Yeah, there's why. There's why
It's Lost
Sid can't have.
All right,
Yuck.
folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week. Until then, from all of us,
Bye.
goodbye.